That night, while music shook the windows of my own house, I sat alone in the dark in my bedroom like a stranger. I wasn't invited to my own son's birthday party. My name is Margaret Lawson, but everyone in town calls me Maggie. I'm 60 years old. This ranch, these 180 acres of red Oklahoma dirt, carry my family's name, not my son's, not my daughter-in-law's. And that night, 100 people laughed and drank on my land without even knocking on my door. My old digital clock said 10:19 p.m. I was in my flannel nightgown and robe, sitting on the edge of my bed, watching strangers fill my yard. Outside, colored lights bounced off my front windows. Not headlights, party lights. White tents glowed under my pecan trees. Cars lined the gravel road all the way to the cattle guard. Big black speakers thumped music I didn't recognize. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. It was my neighbor, Emma. "Maggie, your place looks amazing tonight. Didn't know you were throwing a big one. Happy birthday to Ethan." I stared at the message. "What party?" I typed back. 3 dots appeared. Then nothing. Before I could call her, a notification popped up from social media. A new post from a daughter-in-law, Taylor. I opened it. There she was, in a white dress and high boots, hugging my son Ethan under the wooden arch my daddy dove 50 years ago. Big gold balloons behind them read 35. The caption said, "Our home, our party, our family." Hashtag Lawson Ranch blessed our place, our home. I zoomed in on the picture. Every board of that porch had gone through my hands. I recognized each tree, each rock, even the rusty horseshoe thumbnailed to the post. But in that caption, I didn't exist. Comments poured in. "OMG, your ranch is stunning. Didn't know you guys owned all that land. Goals. Best hostess award goes to Kayla." Kayla replied to one. "Been in the family for generations. We're finally making it ours." My chest went tired. Finally making it ours? As if I were already dead. Outside, the music jumped in the Sweet Carolina, and I heard the crowd sing along. Good times never seemed so good. Good times. For who? I sat there with the phone in my hand, heart punching in my ears. I thought about getting dressed, about putting on lipstick, walking out there and hugging my son and pretending I wasn't shredded inside. But something in me, something old and tired, finally stood up. If you ever felt invisible in your own home, right, I'm still here in the comments, because this story might be yours too. I slid my boots onto bare feet, tightened my robe, and walked down the dark hallway of my home. The kitchen was empty. No one had left a plate for me. No one had even flipped on the light. All the noise was outside. I opened the back door. Music hit me like heat. Laughter, drunken shouts, clinking glasses, the smell of barbecue I hadn't cooked, and liquor I hadn't bought. White tents glowed under my trees. My yard looked like one of those fancy event photos Taylor was always showing me on her phone. People I recognized from church. People I'd seen at the grocery store. A whole lot of people I'd never laid eyes on. Not one of them turned toward the house to wonder where I was. To the right of the laundry room, past the big propane tank, is a little metal shed. Daddy put it up when I was a girl. The generator room. It hums like a living thing when the power's out, feeding electricity to every corner of the ranch, including every stolen lot out there on my lawn. I walked toward it. The grass was cool under my boots. The night air smelt like dust and spilled beer. I opened the metal door. The generator rattled and growled, hot and steady, like a mechanical heart. I put my hand on the main switch. My fingers suddenly looked like my father's, knotted, brown, scarred from work. His voice came back clear as day. "You watch this panel, Maggie. You control this. You control the whole place. Don't ever forget that. Power's a funny thing. Folks pretend they have it over you until you remember where the real switch is." My breath shook. Then I flipped the switch down. Everything went black. Music, lights, tents, gone. For a second, the quiet was complete. Then people started shouting, "What happened? Did the power trip? Use your phone light." Little white squares lit up all over the yard. I stepped out of the shed, white robe catching the moonlight. And for the first time in a long time, I remembered I wasn't powerless. I walked toward the middle of the yard. No microphone, no speakers, just my voice in the night. "I want every single person off my property right now." Silence. A woman somewhere near the beer table whispered, "Is that Ethan's mom?" Yes, that was Ethan's mom, the woman who paid the land tax for the ground under their seat, the woman no one bothered to invite.
Before I tell you what my son said to me in that dark yard, you need to know who he used to be. Because maybe you've got a child like this too, the one who once needed you for everything and now acts like they found you at a thrift store. My boy's name is Ethan Johnson. He took his first breath in the same downstairs bedroom where my mother took her last. My daddy, Hank, nearly tore a hole in the hospital floor pacing while I was in labor. "He's got our nose, Maggie," Daddy said, holding that red, squirmy bundle. "We'll make a cowboy out of him yet." We tried. Ethan's first steps ran this yard. His first word wasn't mama or dada. It was horse. He followed me everywhere. Little boots, big hat, serious eyes. He'd sit on the counter while I make biscuits, swinging his legs, telling me everything about his day. "When I grow up, Mama, I'm going to take care of the ranch with you," he'd say. "We'll have more cows, more chickens. We'll sell eggs and be rich." I used to laugh. "Baby, we'll be rich in sore backs, but we'll be together. That's what matters." My husband, Tom, wasn't born to this land, but he grew into it. He came from town, worked at the hardware store. Married me and never once complained about 4 a.m. chores or muddy boots. We weren't pomifix. We weren't wealthy. But we were a family. Sunday mornings we sat on the porch with coffee and sweet rolls. Daddy would point his cigarette out past the fields and say, "Look, boy, all that out there, that's Lawson land. Land stays with the one who respects it. Remember that." Ethan would nod like he understood the weight of it. When Ethan was 15, Tom got sick. By 16, he was gone. Cancer. The kind that shows up late and leaves fast. I watched my husband disappear, 1 pound at a time, in that same bedroom where Ethan had been born. On the last day, Tom squeezed my hand so hard it hurt. "He promised me, 'You won't give up this place,' he whispered. 'I know it's hard, but this is who you are, Maggie.' I promised. I didn't know that promise would one day put me nose to nose with my own child." After the funeral, Ethan was quiet for a long time. He helped me more around the ranch. He grew into his father's shirts faster than I could wash them. But grief doesn't sit still. At 18, Ethan told me he wanted to go to college in Oklahoma City. "Business administration, Mom," he said. "If I learn how money really works, I can help you. We can turn this place into something bigger." I was scared, but I was proud. We rented him a tiny apartment. I packed him Tupperware full of food. I cried all the way home. At first, he called every night. Then once a week. Then, "Sorry, Mom, this week's crazy. I'll call you tomorrow." And tomorrow didn't always come. When he did visit, he smelled like cologne instead of hay. He wore sneakers that had never seen dirt. He still hugged me. He still said, "Love you, Mom." But there was a new distance in his eyes. Like the ranch was a childhood toy he wasn't sure he wanted to keep. Then she showed up. On my phone at first.
The first time I saw Kayla, she was on my screen. Ethan had sent me a video. He and a pretty brunette were dancing in a city kitchen, music blaring, her laughing, him kissing her cheek while she held the phone just right. The caption said, "She said yes to dinner, still working on forever, with my lovin'." I watched it 3 times, unsure whether to smile or worry. 2 weeks later, he called. "Ethan, I want you to meet someone." I wiped flour off my hands. "What's her name?" "Kayla. She's in marketing, social media stuff. She helps brands blow up online. She says our ranch is a gold mine just sitting there." Our ranch? Those 2 letters cut more than he knew. "Bring her down next weekend," I said. "I'll cook." Saturday afternoon, a shiny black SUV rolled up my dirt road like it was offended by the potholes. Ethan got out first. Bigger, sharper jaw, city clothes. Then Kayla skipped out. Everything about her was polished. White jeans, tan boots with clean soles, nails like tiny perfect shells. She took one slow look around and whispered mostly to herself, "Oh my God, this is content." She already had her phone in her hand, finding the angle, the light, the frame. I wasn't raising content. I was raising cattle in the sun. We were living. She was filming. Ethan jogged up the porch and hugged me tight. "Mom, this is Kayla. Kayla, this is the famous Maggie Lawson." She stuck out her hand like we was at a networking event. "Mrs. Lawson, it is so nice to finally meet you. Ethan talks about you all the time." Her hand was soft, no calluses on it. Bracelets jangled when she moved. "And just Maggie," I said. "Come on in. Roast is almost done." She looked at the ceiling beams, the stone fireplace, the old photos on the walls. "Wow, this is like rustic chic. People would die to shoot here." I poured sweet tea. "We just live here," I said. At dinner, she ate like she was afraid of the food. One little scooped roast, one potato, no gravy. I'm no garb. Wedding season. She talked a lot about followers and algorithms, about brand deals and collabs. She didn't ask a single thing about me. Not about the ranch, not about my parents, not about Tom. Her eyes were on Ethan, or on her reflection in her phone. That night, after they went for a walk, I stood at the sink, washing dishes. I heard my mother's voice in my head. Some folks walk into a room and add thorns. Some walk in and everything starts orbiting them. Be careful with those. They'll forget you're human and start treating you like furniture. I didn't know which kind Kayla was yet, but the air felt different with her in my house.
Months passed. Whenever Ethan came, Kayla came too. She stopped seeing my home. She started seeing a set. "This wall should go," she'd say, waving her hand in my living room. "Open concept sells better. We could make this a whole experience space. We could paint the exterior white. Trust me, it photographs way better. Have you ever thought about turning the barn into an event venue, Maggie? People pay crazy money for authentic ranch weddings." I would answer with things like, "That barn keeps my hay dry. Those walls held my mother's bed. That porch is where my daddy died." But Kayla only heard potential, not history. One Christmas, after dinner, Ethan cleared his throat. The plates were still on the table. My hands smelled like dish soap. Kayla lifted her left hand and the diamond on it practically blinded me. "We're engaged," Ethan said, grinning, "and we want to get married here on the ranch." For a second, my heart swelled. I pictured wildflowers and cowboy boots, a simple ceremony under the oak. Then Kayla slid a ponder out of her bag. "Picture this," she said, eyes sparkling. "Sunset ceremony by the east pasture, white tent right there, string lights everywhere, live band, drone footage, Lawson Ranch events. Could launch of our wedding. Our wedding. Lawson Ranch events. Not my son getting married. A brand launch." "That's big," I said carefully. "How many guests are you thinking?" 200, maybe 250, she said. "We've got a lot of friends. Friends I'd never met." "We'll handle most of it," Ethan said quickly. "We just need the venue." The venue. My home. I should have said no. But Ethan looked at me the way he did when he was 5 and wanted a candy bar I couldn't afford. "Please, Mom," he said, "just is one thing. I want to get married where I grew up."
here's where I failed myself. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I said, we'll see. If you're listening to this thinking, I would have told him absolutely not, right, no is love in the comments. Because I didn't know yet that every soft yes cost you a little piece of yourself.
As the months went on, the wedding got bigger, and my place in it got smaller. Kayla started every sentence with, "We decided, we need, we're going to." Ethan stood behind her, nodding. Painters came. Thick white paint rolled over my mama's yellow walls. "White is clean. It's classic," Kayla said. "Mustard and teal is not the vibe." The bathrooms were gutted. Tile my husband and I put in with our own hands, landing in a dumpster out by the road. "Modern fixtures feel more high-end," she explained. I paid more than I intended. More than I could afford. A little help with rentals turned into me draining savings I built over decades. One afternoon, I came back from checking the north fence and found Kayla at my kitchen table with her laptop open. She didn't notice me. On the screen was a document titled Lawson Ranch Transition Plan. Bullet points marched down the page like soldiers. Refinance property, pool equity for renovations, add Ethan and Kayla as co-owners on deed, create LLC, Lawson Ranch Events, phase Maggie into Guest House, Wing 8, market family-run ranch, story online. Phase Maggie. Like I was an old freeze they were moving out of the kitchen. Not a person. My hand bumped a glass jar on the counter. It clinked. Kayla snapped the laptop halfway shut, eyes wide. "Oh, Maggie, I didn't see you there." "What's that?" I asked, nodding to the computer. Just notes," she said too fast. "Nothing you need to worry about. We've gotten everything under control." That was the first time I let myself think the words. They are planning a future while I'm extra. Not included. Not centered. Just phased. The man in the gray suit arrived a week later. Too much hair, Gail. Too much confidence. He shook my hand like he already knew he'd win. "Mrs. Lawson, I'm Derek," he said. "I'm helping Ethan and Kayla get everything structured. Just a few documents to sign to protect you and the property. Protect me." He spread a stack of papers on my kitchen table. "This one adds Ethan to the deed, purely for estate planning," he said. "Saves on taxes later. This one establishes a small line of credit using the ranch as collateral. Very conservative. And this acknowledges the new business entity. You'd still be majority owner, of course." He slid a pen toward me. Ethan stood a step behind him, hands in his pockets, not quite meeting my eye. "Mom, it's just paperwork. It doesn't change anything now. It just prepares things, for the future." Daddy's voice rose up in my head, clear as if he were sitting across from me. "Paper is powerful, girl. Don't sign nothing you don't understand. And don't let somebody talk you pretty while they steal with their pen." My fingers
brushed the pen, then pushed it back. I'll have my own lawyer look these over, I said. If they're as harmless as you say, he'll kill me so. Derek's smile tightened just enough for me to see it. Of course, he said. Completely standard to get a second opinion. Kayla's jaw worked for a second before she pieced it agreeing on. We just don't want you to stress about finances anymore, Maggie. We're trying to help. I nodded. I've carried this place this long, and I can carry it one more week while someone reads the fine print.
Daniel Price's office smelled like paper and coffee. He was in his 60s, tie crooked, glasses low on his nose. I handed him the folder Derek left me. I need someone who's not trying to sell me anything to tell me what this means, I said. He read, page after page, quiet except for the little sounds of paper moving. The more he read, the deeper the line between his eyebrows got. Finally, he set the stack down. Miss Lawson, he said, if you sign these, you are giving up full control of your property. Your son and his fiancée would have equal say in major decisions, and this line of credit, if their business failed, you could lose the ranch. Daddy's words rang again. Paper is powerful. So, it's not harmless, I said. Not even close. We talked for 3 hours. He asked me about my father, about Tom, about how I'd kept the place afloat all these years. Then he asked me a question I wasn't expecting. What do you want to happen to this ranch when you're gone? No one had asked me that. Not really. Everyone assumed the answer was Ethan. My heart said yes and no at the same time. We drafted a will that day. In it, the ranch didn't automatically just drop into Ethan's lap. If he wanted it, he'd have to live here, work the land, keep it debt-free. If he didn't or couldn't, the ranch would go to a land trust that promised not to chop it into vacation homes. Signing that will felt like tearing something inside me. I still loved my son, but I had to love myself too. When I left Daniel's office, for the first time in a long time, my spine felt straight. I hadn't just floated along. I'd made a decision. Kayla and Ethan didn't take the delay well. The sweetness melted. We had fights, sharp, ugly ones, in the new white kitchen that didn't feel like mine anymore. You're sabotaging your own son's future, Kayla said one night, arms crossed, ring flashing. All we're trying to do is modernize this old place. Do you want to die out here alone with a bunch of cows? Better alone than owned, I said. Ethan's shoulders slumped. Mom, why are you being like this? We're just trying to build something. You can't work forever. We stopped talking for a while. Then a letter came. Thick envelope, big city law firm. My name printed wrong on the front like they didn't care. Inside, in neat lawyer language, my son, through Kayla's attorney, was requesting accelerated access to inheritance and questioning my mental capacity to manage a large property. In other words, my own child was letting a stranger put in writing that maybe I was too old and confused to live on the land I broke my back to keep. Daddy was right. Paper can cut deeper than any knife. Daniel slammed the letter on his desk when I showed him. He said, "We'll fight this. You are perfectly capable, but it's going to be a process." It was. Doctors, memory tests, court dates. I sat in a courtroom 3 different times answering questions about my own life like I was interviewing a play myself. Across the aisle, Ethan sat in a suit he couldn't really afford. Kayla whispering in his ear like a devil in designer heels. In the end, the judge said exactly what we already knew. I was competent. The ranch was mine. I could do what I wanted with it. On paper, I won. In my heart, I had never felt so utterly lost. Because paper can't force your child to love you. It can only keep them from taking what's yours. They moved the wedding to the city, some glass and steel venue an hour away. I found out from a woman at the feed store who'd seen the photos. "Looked like a magazine, Maggie," she said. "Shame you weren't in any other shots." Shame. I went home, sat at my little kitchen table, and pulled up Kayla's page. There it was. Ethan in the gray suit. Kayla in a tight white dress with a train that needed its own zip code. Sparklers, champagne, hashtags about soulmates and best day of our lives. No tag for me. No empty chair with my name. No mention that his father wasn't there. Just one caption that stung. "Our new chapter starts now." As if everything before was nothing. I closed the app, stood up, and went to water my tomatoes. Sometimes survival looks like very boring chores. Life went quiet after that. No more visits, fewer calls. I got up every day, fed the animals, fixed what broke, went to bed, tired and hollow. Then came the birthday. So there we were again. Music dead, lights out, guests frozen in the dark like figures in a snow globe someone had shaken. I stood in my robe under the moon and said, "Everyone off my property, now." And then I heard him. Ethan's footsteps. They sounded the same as when he was a teenager coming in past curfew. Heavy, annoyed, guilty. He stopped a few steps from me. His white shirt glowed just enough to show his jaw clenched tight. "Mom, what are you doing?" he hissed. "You can't just kill the power like that. People are going to freak out." "Good," I said. "Maybe they realize this isn't a rented hall. It's my home." Phones lit faces around us. People watched like it was a show. "This isn't my party," he snapped. "Our friends are here. You're embarrassing me." Embarrassing him.
not the other way around. I didn't invite you to my old land, I said. You called it your house online. You called it your party, your family. Where do I fit in that, Ethan? I let the silence stretch. I added, if I'm not part of the family, then this isn't your family's ranch. It's mine. His jaw flexed. Caleb appeared at his side, dress glittering in stray phone light, face hard. Maggie, you're making a scene. This is exactly why we didn't want to bother you tonight. You need rest. Rest, I repeated. You throw 100-person party on my land without a word to me and say it's because I need rest. She shifted her weight. It's Ethan's birthday. We wanted it to be special. So have it at your apartment, it said. This land is not your backdrop. It is not your brand. It is not ours. It is mine. And everyone here is trespassing. Someone in the dark muttered, let's just go, man. Engines turned over one by one. Headlights cut through the dark. Cars rolled toward the road. People avoided looking at me when they passed. Some laughing nervously, some whispering. No one said goodbye. Ethan stared at me, eyes burning. You're pushing me away, he said. When I leave tonight, I don't know if I'm coming back. Something in me let go. I said, you already left. All I did was flip a switch so you could see it. He flinched like it slapped him. Then he turned, got in his truck, and drove off into the night, Kayla's silhouette, a dark shape beside him. I didn't turn the generator back on until the last pair of taillights disappeared. The silence afterwards was the loudest thing I've ever heard.
I didn't hatch some big revenge plan after that. I fed the horses in the morning, made coffee, patched the fence they'd hung fairy lights on. I tried not to cry on the porch steps. But life has its own way of evening things out without us lifting a finger. Over the next year, the gossip drifted in like dust under the door. The big Lawson Ranch events brand never launched. Without my land on the brochure, investors cooled, deposits disappeared. The shiny SUV went back to the dealership. The nice apartment turned into a smaller one on a noisier street. Then, one day, Emma sat at my table with a look on her face. Shh, 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 you didn't hear this from me, she said. But Kayla ran off with some real estate guy she met at a conference. Left Ethan with the loans and the bills. I didn't smile. I didn't say serves him right. I just stirred my coffee until it went cold. Life was collecting its debts. Later, I heard even it sold his fancy clothes. That it had taken whatever work he could find, delivery driver, stalker, cashier, that it was living in a cheap rented room with a shared bathroom and peel and paint. Meanwhile, the ranch was still here, still mine, still Stenton. One afternoon, I was pruning the peach trees when I heard the familiar engine. Not the SUV, not the whole truck either. A beat-up sedan well up the drive and shut off with a cough. Ethan got out. No Kayla, no range, just my boy. Thinner, older round the eyes.
He stood there like he wasn't sure whether to get closer or leave. "Hi, Ma," he said.
We sat at the kitchen table with 2 mugs of coffee between us. He turned his cup in slow circles, stared at his hands. They had calluses now. "I messed up," he said finally. "I know you know that. I just need to say it out loud." I waited. "Kayla didn't love me," he said. "She loved what I could get her, what you had. And I let her convince me that you were the problem, that you were stuck, that we had to save you from yourself." He winced at his own words. "I signed papers I didn't understand. I let lawyers write things about you that," he swallowed, "that make me sick to think about now." I remember that letter, the line about my mental capacity. "You hurt me," I said quietly, "deeper than a stranger ever could. Because strangers didn't hear my promises to your father. Strangers didn't watch me get up at 4 a.m. for 20 years to keep this place from being sold." Tears slipped down his face. "I know," he said. "I was selfish. I wanted a big life without earning it. And you were always my safety net. I thought you'd just catch me forever." We sat with that for a long time. The fridge hummed. A fly bumped against the window. "Do you forgive me?" he asked. I had thought about that question a lot on lonely nights in my rocking chair. I thought about it again then. "I forgave you a while ago," I said. "Forgiveness is for me, so I don't rot from the inside. But trust," I took a breath, "trust is a different thing. That one you're going to have to earn. Slowly, with actions." He nodded, eyes red. "I'll do whatever it takes," he said. "Even if all I get back is the chance to sit at this table sometimes." "We'll see," I said. "1 cent at a time." It's been 2 years since I shut off that generator and told 100 people to get off my land. 2 years since I remembered where the real power lives in this house. The will is finalized. The deed is in a fireproof safe behind an old stack of quilts in my closet. Paper tried to turn on me. Now it's working for me. If I die tomorrow, this ranch will not become somebody's influencer backdrop. It'll either be worked by hands that respect it or protected by people who understand that a house is not just walls in a good angle. It's mirroring, it's blood. It's the echo of every "Yes, Lord" and every "Please, God" whispered in its rooms. Ethan lives in town. He's not some big executive. He does bookkeeping for a farm supply company. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. He comes out twice a month now. He doesn't ask about the will. He doesn't talk about turning the ranch into a business. He says things like, "Need help moving that feed, Mom? Want me to check that back fence line? Mind if I stay for lunch?" We fix small things together. We share a quiet coffee on the porch. It's not what it was. It may never be, but it's real. As for Kayla, I hear bits that she cleans offices at night, that she lives back with her mother, that she still posts old photos with captions about toxic family and haters. She's not my story anymore. Life already collected what it was owed there. Sometimes, in the purple orange light of evening, I sit in my daddy's old rocking chair, coffee in hand, and think about all of it. If I had signed those papers, if I'd let them phase Maggie into the guest house, maybe I wouldn't eat dinner alone as often. Maybe Ethan and Kayla would still be here, running Lost and Ranch events, bringing strangers onto my porch with VIP bracelets. But I know what else would be true. I'd be a ghost in my own house. Lights on, music loud, and me sitting in some little back room waiting for someone to remember I'd existed. I chose something harder. I chose not to disappear. If you're listening to this while you are stirring a pot, folding laundry, or staring at a ceiling you paid for, and someone in your life is treating you like a guest in your own story, hear me. Loving your child does not mean handing them your life like a free gift basket. Being a good mother does not mean being a doormat. Saying no doesn't make you selfish. Sometimes no is love. Love for the moment you have to live with every day. Yourself. If my story lit up even the smallest part of you that's tired of being quiet, write "My dignity matters" in the comments. Not for me, for you to see it, to claim it. Because if someone in your life is trying to dim you, you are allowed to do. But I did that night. Reach for the switch and turn their power off. My name is Margaret Lawson. This is my ranch. And until my last breath, no one is going to erase me from it.